Tell the governor the girl in the red coat is still alive. The prison guard froze. The man sitting behind the thick glass wall slowly lifted his head and smiled. His name was Daniel Harlow, and in 12 hours, he was supposed to die.
Attention all personnel. Emergency lockdown procedure is now in effect. This is not a drill. Stand by for further instructions.
Newspapers said he murdered 5 people and buried their bodies near an old river outside a small town in Missouri. Everyone believed he was a monster. Everyone except Daniel himself. Rain slammed against the prison windows while thunder rolled above Blackwood State Prison. The lights flickered once, making the narrow hallway feel even colder. Guard Marcus Reed stared at Daniel through the glass. "What did you say?" Marcus asked quietly. Daniel leaned closer to the tiny speaker. "The girl in the red coat," he whispered. "She never died." Marcus felt a chill run through his body. There had only been one victim who wore a red coat. Emily Carter, the first girl who disappeared. The police found her coat near the river 15 years ago. They found blood on it too. Everyone believed she was dead. But they never found her body. Marcus swallowed hard. That case was closed years ago. Daniel smiled again, but this time the smile looked strange. Almost nervous. "That's because the wrong people closed it." Marcus tried not to react. Death row inmates often lied before execution. Some wanted attention. Some wanted to scare people. Others just wanted to delay death. But something about Daniel's voice felt different. Calm. Too calm. "How would you know she's alive?" Marcus asked. Daniel looked toward the dark ceiling above him. "Because 3 nights ago," he said slowly, "she came here." Marcus stepped back immediately. "That's impossible." Daniel's eyes locked onto his. "She stood right outside my cell at exactly 2:13 in the morning. Same red coat. Same face. Not a day older." Marcus felt his mouth go dry. Blackwood Prison was one of the most secure prisons in America. No woman could just walk inside death row without alarms going off. Unless... Marcus shook the thought away. "You're playing games." Daniel suddenly slammed his hands against the table. "I'm trying to stop another murder." The loud bang echoed through the room. Outside, 2 guards looked through the window, but Marcus raised his hand, telling them everything was fine. Daniel lowered his voice again. "He's going to do it tonight." "Who?" Daniel stared silently for several seconds. Then he whispered one name. "Sheriff Collins." Marcus blinked in shock. Sheriff Nathan Collins had been the lead officer who arrested Daniel 15 years ago. In Ash River, people treated the sheriff like a hero. Schools invited him to speak to children. Families thanked him for making the town safe again. "You're insane," Marcus muttered. Daniel slowly sat back down. "Go to the old Harper farmhouse before midnight," he said. "If you don't, another girl disappears forever." Marcus wanted to walk away. He should have walked away. But then Daniel said something that made his blood turn cold. "She'll be wearing a yellow bracelet with tiny silver stars on it." Marcus froze completely. His own daughter had that exact bracelet. Just yesterday, his wife bought it for her birthday. Daniel smiled weakly. "Now do you understand why you should listen to me?" Marcus rushed out of the room, breathing hard. The heavy prison door slammed behind him as alarms buzzed somewhere far down the hall. He grabbed his phone and quickly called home. No answer. He called again. Still nothing. Rain poured harder outside while thunder shook the prison walls. Marcus suddenly remembered something else. Earlier that evening, his wife had taken their daughter to Ash River for a school music event. Near the old Harper farmhouse. Marcus ran down the hallway toward the prison exit, his heart pounding wildly inside his chest. Back inside the interview room, Daniel sat alone in silence. The security camera above him crackled with static for a second. Then the screen went black. And in the dark reflection of the glass behind Daniel, someone appeared standing in the corner of the room. A woman wearing a red coat. Marcus drove through the storm so fast that the prison gates almost clipped the sides of his truck. Rain hammered the windshield. The wipers moved back and forth wildly, but he could barely see the road ahead. Every few seconds, lightning flashed across the sky, showing empty fields and broken fences beside the highway. His hands shook as he called his wife again. Still no answer. He tried his daughter Lily next. Straight to voicemail. Marcus pressed harder on the gas pedal. The old Harper farmhouse sat outside Ash River, hidden behind dead trees and muddy roads. Years ago, a family had lived there before a fire destroyed most of the house. Since then, nobody stayed there for long. People in town whispered strange stories about screams at night and lights moving through the windows. Marcus never believed any of it. Until now. He remembered Daniel's exact words. "If you don't go there tonight, another girl disappears forever." The truck bounced hard as it turned onto a dirt road filled with puddles. Ahead, through the rain, Marcus finally saw the farmhouse. One upstairs window glowed with light. Marcus stopped the truck and quickly grabbed his flashlight and handgun. The storm around him sounded alive. Wind screamed through the trees while thunder cracked overhead. Mud soaked his boots as he moved toward the house. Then he heard something. A child crying. Marcus froze. "Lily!" he shouted. The crying stopped immediately. The front door of the farmhouse slowly creaked open by itself. Marcus raised his flashlight and stepped inside. The smell hit him first. Smoke. Old wood. And something rotten. The floor groaned under every step. Broken furniture lay scattered everywhere. Rain dripped through holes in the ceiling. "Lily!" Marcus yelled again. No answer. Then, upstairs. Footsteps. Slow footsteps. Marcus pointed the flashlight toward the staircase. A figure moved across the hallway above him. Small. Thin. A girl. Marcus rushed upstairs 2 steps at a time. "Lily!" But when he reached the hallway, nobody was there. Only silence. Then his flashlight landed on the wall. Marcus stopped breathing. Written across the wallpaper in dark red letters were the words, "He knows the truth." Marcus stepped backward slowly. That was when he noticed the photographs hanging beside the message. Old missing person photos. Girls from Ash River. Emily Carter. Rachel Dunn. Sophie Miles. And several others Marcus had never seen before. Some pictures looked recent. Too recent. Marcus pulled one photo off the wall. A girl around 14 years old smiled at the camera. On the back, written in black ink, were 3 words. "Next is Lily." Marcus's heart nearly stopped. Suddenly, a loud crash exploded downstairs. Marcus spun around and ran toward the staircase. The front door slammed shut violently. A shadow moved through the kitchen. Marcus raised his gun. "Show yourself." Lightning flashed through the windows. For 1 second, Marcus saw a man standing near the back door wearing a sheriff's hat. Then darkness returned. "Nathan," Marcus whispered. No answer. Marcus moved carefully through the kitchen. His flashlight beam shook across the walls. Then he heard breathing behind him. He turned instantly. Nobody there. But on the table beside him sat a small yellow bracelet with tiny silver stars. Lily's bracelet. Marcus grabbed it quickly. His chest tightened with fear. Then a voice spoke from somewhere upstairs. Soft. Cold. "You should have listened years ago." Marcus recognized the voice immediately. Sheriff Collins. Marcus ran upstairs again, following the sound. At the end of the hallway, one door stood slightly open. Light flickered inside. Marcus pushed the door open slowly. The room was filled with newspaper clippings covering every wall. Missing girls. Crime scenes. Old photographs of Daniel Harlow during his trial. And in the center of the room sat a wooden chair. Ropes tied to the arms. Fresh ropes. Marcus suddenly noticed movement in the corner. A girl sat there quietly, knees pulled against her chest. Wet blonde hair covered part of her face. "Lily," Marcus whispered. The girl slowly looked up. It was not Lily. Marcus stepped back in shock. He recognized the face from the old missing poster downstairs. Emily Carter. The girl who disappeared 15 years ago. She looked older now, but unmistakable. Alive. Tears rolled down her face as she stared at Marcus. "You have to leave," she whispered weakly. Before Marcus could speak, heavy footsteps thundered behind him. The bedroom door slammed shut. Marcus spun around. Sheriff Collins stood there holding a shotgun. Rainwater dripped from his coat. And slowly, the sheriff smiled. Marcus raised his gun immediately. The room felt too small. Rain slammed against the windows while thunder shook the farmhouse walls. Sheriff Collins stood in front of the locked door with the shotgun pointed directly at Marcus. Neither man moved. Emily sat frozen in the corner, trembling. Marcus could barely believe what he was seeing. For 15 years, Nathan Collins had been the hero of Ash River. He coached Little League baseball. He attended church every Sunday. Parents trusted him with their children. And now he stood there smiling with a shotgun in his hands. "You look confused," Collins said calmly. Marcus tightened his grip on the gun. "You kidnapped these girls?" Collins laughed softly. "You still don't understand." "Emily Carter is alive," Marcus snapped. Daniel Harlow told the truth. At the sound of Daniel's name, Collins' smile faded slightly. "That man should have died years ago." Marcus slowly stepped sideways, trying to position himself between Collins and Emily. "You framed him." Collins stared at him silently for a moment. Then he shrugged. "People believe what they want to believe," he said. "Ash River needed a monster. Daniel was perfect." Emily suddenly spoke through tears. "He took us," she whispered. "All of us." Marcus looked toward her carefully. "How many girls are here?" Emily's eyes filled with fear. "Not all of them are alive anymore." Marcus felt sick. Collins sighed like he was tired of the conversation. "You should never have come here tonight, Marcus." "And my daughter?" Marcus shouted. "Where's Lily?" Collins smiled again. "Safe. For now." Marcus almost pulled the trigger right there. But Collins lifted the shotgun higher. "You shoot me," Collins said calmly, "and you'll never find her." Silence filled the room. Marcus' heart pounded wildly. He needed to stay calm. Needed to think. Then Emily suddenly screamed. "She's downstairs." Before Collins could react, Marcus fired. Bang! The bullet shattered the lamp beside Collins' head. Glass exploded across the room. Collins fired back instantly. The shotgun blast tore through the wall as Marcus ducked behind the chair. Emily screamed again while wood splintered everywhere. Marcus grabbed Emily's arm. "Move!" The two of them rushed out of the bedroom as Collins reloaded behind them. Footsteps thundered across the upstairs hallway. Marcus and Emily ran down the staircase while shotgun blasts exploded behind them, destroying pieces of the railing. "Back door!" Marcus shouted. They burst into the kitchen. Lightning flashed outside. And there, sitting quietly at the table, was Lily. Marcus froze. His daughter looked strangely calm. Rainwater dripped from her hair. Her yellow bracelet was gone. "Dad!" she whispered. Marcus rushed toward her. But Emily suddenly grabbed his arm hard. "No!" Marcus looked at her in confusion. Emily pointed toward the floor. Thin fishing wire stretched across the kitchen entrance. A trap. Connected to a shotgun hidden under the table. Marcus' blood turned cold. If he had taken one more step, the gun would have fired directly into his chest. Lily began crying. "Help me, Dad." Marcus carefully moved around the wire and pulled Lily into his arms. "It's okay," he whispered quickly. "We're leaving." Then Collins' voice echoed through the house. "You can't save everyone." The lights suddenly went out. Complete darkness swallowed the farmhouse. Lily screamed. Marcus grabbed his flashlight and switched it on. Emily was gone. The back door swung open violently in the storm. Marcus shined the flashlight outside just in time to see Collins dragging Emily across the muddy yard toward a small barn behind the farmhouse. Marcus handed Lily his truck keys immediately. "Lock yourself inside the truck and don't open the doors for anyone except me." "But Dad..." "Go." Lily ran through the rain toward the truck. Marcus chased Collins toward the barn. Mud slipped beneath his boots while thunder roared overhead. The barn doors slammed shut just as Marcus reached them. He grabbed the handle and pulled hard. Locked. From inside the barn, Emily screamed. Then came another sound. Metal chains rattling. And a second voice crying for help. Not Emily. Another girl. Marcus slammed his shoulder against the barn doors again and again. The old wood cracked loudly during the storm. Inside, girls screamed for help. Then came Colin's voice. "You should walk away, Marcus." Marcus ignored him and kicked the doors hard. Crack. One side finally burst open. Rain and wind rushed into the dark barn as Marcus pointed his flashlight inside. At first, all he saw were shadows. Then the light moved across the room. And Marcus froze. Photographs covered the walls from floor to ceiling. Dozens of them. Girls from Ash River. Some smiling at birthday parties. Some walking home from school. Some standing outside stores, completely unaware someone was watching them. The oldest photos looked faded and yellow. The newest ones had been taken only days ago. Marcus felt sick to his stomach. In the middle of the barn sat 3 metal cages. Inside one cage was Emily. Inside another sat a teenage girl Marcus didn't recognize. Her face was pale, and chains wrapped around one ankle. The third cage stood empty. Its door hung open. Marcus slowly realized the cage was small. Small enough for Lily. "Dad!" Lily's frightened voice suddenly whispered behind him. Marcus spun around in shock. Lily stood at the barn entrance crying. "I told you to stay in the truck." "She's gone," Lily sobbed. "The truck won't start." Marcus cursed under his breath. Collins had planned everything. Then the barn lights flickered on suddenly. Marcus blinked against the brightness. Sheriff Collins stood above them on a wooden platform near the ceiling, holding the shotgun again. "You really should have listened to Daniel," Collins said calmly. Marcus moved in front of Lily immediately. "How long?" he shouted. "How long have you been doing this?" Collins rested the shotgun on the railing. "Since before Daniel Harlow ever came to Ash River." Emily lowered her head silently. Marcus stared at Collins in disbelief. "You kidnapped those girls all these years?" Collins smiled strangely. "No. I saved them." The teenage girl inside the cage began crying harder. Collins looked down at her. "You see, they never understand at first." "You're insane," Marcus growled. Collins ignored him. "When I was young," he continued, "my sister disappeared. Nobody searched for her. Nobody cared. So I promised myself something. No girl in this town would ever disappear without someone remembering her." Marcus could hardly believe the words coming out of his mouth. "You locked them in cages." "I protected them," Collins snapped suddenly. His calm mask cracked for the first time. "They lie. They run away. They make bad choices. Out there, the world destroys them." Lightning flashed through the broken barn windows. For a moment, Colin's face looked terrifying. Then he became calm again. "Daniel found out years ago," Collins said quietly. "Wrong place. Wrong night." Marcus slowly understood. Daniel had never been the killer. He had seen Collins with one of the girls. And Collins framed him for everything. "You ruined his life," Marcus whispered. Collins shrugged. "One man for an entire town's peace? That's a fair trade." Emily suddenly shouted, "He killed Rachel." Collins' eyes darkened instantly. "She tried to escape," he said coldly. Silence filled the barn. Marcus noticed Lily slowly stepping closer to the cage keys hanging near a wooden post. "Good. Very good." Marcus kept talking, trying to distract Collins. "Why tell Daniel about the girls now?" Collins laughed softly. "I didn't." Marcus frowned. Then Collins pointed toward the far corner of the barn. Marcus turned his flashlight slowly. Someone stood there in the darkness. A woman, wearing a red coat. Marcus felt his blood freeze. It was the same woman Daniel described inside the prison. The woman slowly stepped forward. Older now, but unmistakable. Emily Carter's mother. Tears rolled down her face. "He made me stay quiet," she whispered weakly. All these years. Marcus stared at her in shock. You knew Emily was alive? She nodded painfully. Collins smiled down from the platform. Fear makes people obedient. Suddenly, Lily grabbed the cage keys and tossed them toward Marcus. Collins saw it instantly. His expression exploded with rage. No! He fired the shotgun. Boom! The blast shattered the cage beside Emily. Metal tore apart. Everyone screamed. Marcus grabbed the keys and rushed toward Emily's cage. But before he could unlock it, the old wooden platform above them gave a loud crack. Collins looked down in panic. The rotten boards beneath him began collapsing. And then the entire platform broke apart beneath his feet. Sheriff Collins crashed down from the platform with a terrible scream. Wood exploded across the barn floor. The shotgun flew from his hands and slid into the darkness. Marcus shielded Lily as broken boards rained around them. Then silence. Only the storm outside could be heard now. Collins groaned somewhere beneath the wreckage. Marcus quickly unlocked Emily's cage first. Emily stumbled out weakly, tears streaming down her face. "Get Lily outside," Marcus told her. Emily nodded and grabbed Lily's hand. Marcus rushed to free the second girl while Collins struggled under the broken wood nearby. "You can't leave me here," Collins growled. Marcus ignored him and broke the chain around the girl's ankle. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Abby," she whispered. "It's okay now, Abby. You're safe." Sirens suddenly echoed faintly in the distance. Marcus looked up sharply. Police cars. Someone must have followed his location from the prison or traced his emergency calls. Collins heard the sirens too, and panic filled his eyes. "No," he whispered. Marcus finally walked toward him slowly. For the first time in years, Sheriff Nathan Collins looked afraid. Real fear. "You destroyed innocent lives," Marcus said coldly. Collins coughed painfully beneath the broken wood. "You don't understand this town." "No," Marcus replied. "You never understood people." Collins suddenly reached for something hidden beneath his coat. Marcus reacted instantly, kicking the object away. A small revolver slid across the floor. Collins closed his eyes in frustration. "You should have let the past stay buried." Marcus leaned closer. "The truth always comes out." Outside, police lights flashed through the rain-covered windows. Officers stormed into the barn seconds later with guns raised. Everything happened fast after that. Collins was arrested alive. Paramedics rushed Emily and Abby into ambulances. Lily refused to let go of Marcus for nearly an hour. And by sunrise, the truth finally began spreading across America. News reporters surrounded Blackwood Prison by morning. The Ash River killer may be innocent. Shocking evidence reveals corrupt sheriff. Missing girl found alive after 15 years. People could not believe it. 4 years, Daniel Harlow had sat alone on death row for crimes he may never have committed. But one question still haunted everyone. How did Daniel know about Emily? Marcus could not stop thinking about it, especially after what happened next. 2 days later, Marcus visited Daniel inside Blackwood Prison again. This time, the guards treated Daniel differently. No chains on his hands. No angry stares. Just silence. Daniel sat calmly at the same table as before. Marcus stared at him through the glass. "You were telling the truth," Marcus admitted quietly. Daniel nodded once. "Did they find the others?" 3 more girls," Marcus said. "Hidden in another property Collins owned." Daniel lowered his eyes sadly. Marcus leaned closer. "There's something I need to know." Daniel looked back at him. "How did you know Emily was alive?" For the first time, Daniel seemed uncomfortable. He glanced slowly toward the dark corner of the room behind Marcus. Then he whispered carefully, "Because she visited me." Marcus turned immediately. Nobody there. When he looked back, Daniel's face had gone pale. "She came every year," Daniel whispered. "Always at 2:13 in the morning. Standing outside my cell in that red coat." Marcus felt chills crawl across his skin. "That makes no sense. Emily was trapped all those years." Daniel nodded slowly. I know. Silence filled the room. Then Daniel reached into his prison pocket and slid something across the table. Marcus picked it up carefully. A photograph. Old and faded. Marcus' heart nearly stopped. The photo showed a younger Sheriff Collins standing beside a little girl in a red coat. Emily. But that was not the shocking part. Standing behind them was another man. Young. Smiling. Marcus looked up at Daniel in disbelief. The man in the photograph was Daniel himself. Much younger. Much freer. And standing beside Collins like an old friend. Marcus stared at him silently. You knew him, Marcus whispered. Daniel's eyes slowly filled with fear. Then he said the words Marcus would never forget. I wasn't trying to escape death. He swallowed hard. I was trying to survive long enough to tell someone what really happened that night by the river. Marcus felt cold all over. Because deep inside, he suddenly realized something terrible. The story was not over. Not even close.